They need the innovation and the technology. They have all the money that they need. So, you know, why would tariffs be the answer? Are there any other tools in the toolbox to stop them from stealing and forcing the transfer of technology?
We're using every tool in the toolbox, to be clear. But again, think about this, Maria. We invented solar energy. We used to have 32 companies. What did the Chinese do? They dumped capacity here. If we had had the tariffs in place that the president put in place several months ago, instead of China taking those industries from us, we'd have them here. We've already seen those industries start to come back here on American soil, growing once again because they're defended by tariffs. So the tariffs are a defensive mechanism, but we do, the Justice Department has many, many cases that it's trying with respect to the physical theft and the cyber theft. But keep in mind, we simply don't have enough agents to do that. We need more ICE agents on the border. We need more agents that are going to deal with the kind of theft that we get.
I want to get back to this because I want to talk about your report, which is excellent, and I want to talk about the predatory practices. But we have some breaking news on the screen right now, Peter, and that is from the Wall Street Journal that Germany's largest automakers are backing scrapping the EU-U.S. import taxes. So that's the import tariffs for cars between the European Union and the U.S. That means ending the EU's 10% tax on auto imports from the U.S. and other countries and the 2.5% duty on auto imports in the United States.
That's a beautiful thing, Maria. That is President Donald J. Trump leading the world on free trade. That's the kind of free trade and reciprocal trade that President Trump is leading, and it takes courage to do what he is doing, but look at the result. If we get the EU to lower its tariff barriers down, instead of Germany selling us 3 cars for every one we sell them, it'll be more fair, Detroit will boom, and that's good for America.
So this is just Germany's largest automakers saying this, that they want to back scrapping the EU-U.S. import taxes, so that's just breaking right now. If China does not retaliate on the president's initial tariffs, would he be prepared to just forget about the second group of tariffs that was announced this week, that additional $200 billion, Peter?
That would be the president's decision, of course. And to be clear, the only reason the $50 billion in tariffs were put in a very targeted way to defend our technology was simply to defend against these unfair practices that China is engaged in. The president thought it was extremely unfair for the Chinese to basically come up with an illegitimate set of tariffs when all we were doing was legitimately defending ourselves.
So let me go back to your report in terms of those predatory practices. Walk us through specifically how you believe China is stealing and using these predatory practices.
So the report outlines the 6 different forms of economic aggression China engages in. They protect their market, they attack global markets, they try to control the resources of the world. They have already dominated traditional manufacturing. They're trying to acquire the intellectual property around the world, the technologies, and they're trying to capture the leading industries of the future. So that's their game plan. And what do? They have these 50 different practices. One of the big things they do is these national champions, where they go out, they consolidate all their own companies, throw tremendous amounts of subsidies at them, and then they go out and conquer and defeat our industries by dumping capacity and overcapacity into our markets. Within their own markets, they do little things like brand forcing. A company might go over there with a good brand, American brand, to be able to sell into their markets. They say, no, you can't do that. We're going to give it a Chinese brand.
Well, let me ask you about the investment restrictions, because we're running out of time here, Peter. But, you know, for the longest time, we've been talking about all this money coming into this country from China, into real estate, acquisitions, and that has helped economic growth in the U.S. If you clamp down on restrictions in terms of what China is going to be able to buy in the U.S., doesn't that impact economic growth negatively?
Not at all. The investment restrictions, to be clear, are proposed. That's the province of the Treasury Department and the decision of the president. The purpose of those would be to prevent China from coming in to Silicon Valley, paying a very high premium. To be clear here, Maria, these are not business people. They don't come in just to earn a fair rate of return, generate cash flow for their investors. That's not the game. The game is to pay a high premium and use those companies for strategic purposes.
But what about Chinese nationals that are investing in real estate?
No worries there. That's not even on the table.
Okay.
This is targeted at technology. They're stealing our crown jewels, Maria. The president says that's not going to happen.
Well, I understand what you're saying. Peter, good to see you, sir. Thanks so much.
Take care, Maria.
Peter Navarro joining us.